Good evening, everyone. My respected lecturer and fellow friends. Welcome to today's forum discussion. Our topic today is going to be active learning strategies for effective teaching. Education is constantly changing, and today's classroom are no longer only focused on teacher delivering information. Instead, students are encouraged to participate actively in the learning process. This is where active learning becomes very important. It allows students to think, communicate, solve problems, and work together rather than simply listening to the lecturer. Our discussion today is also closely connected to Sustainable Development Goals 4, SDG 4, Quality Education. SDG 4 aims to ensure inclusive, equitable, and quality education for everyone. One of the best ways to achieve this goal is by creating learning environment where students are actively involved and motivated to learn. Today, we have four panelists who will discuss different aspects of active learning strategies. Allow me to introduce them. Our first panelist, Hani Nur Hidayah binti Osman, will explain what active learning is and introduce several active learning techniques that teacher can use in the classroom. Our second panelist, Penisali binti Teja, will discuss the benefit of active learning for both students and teachers. Our third panelist, Nasrul Sunhao, will share practical example of implementing active learning in different learning environment. Finally, our fourth panelist, Atalia Elisa binti Rosli, will explain the challenge teacher may face when using active learning and suggest possible solution. Without further delay, let us begin our discussion. I would like to invite our first panelist.
Thank you, moderator, and good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to begin today's forum discussion by explaining what active learning is and introducing some common strategies that teachers can use in their classroom. First of all, what is active learning? So, active learning is a teaching approach where students are directly involved in the learning process. Instead of only listening to the teacher, students participate by discussing ideas, solving problems, asking questions, completing activity, and reflecting on what they have learned. In traditional classroom, teachers usually spend most of the lesson explaining what content while students listening quietly and take notes. Although this method can provide information, students may become passive and lose interest after a long period of listening. In contrast, active learning places students at the center of the learning process. Teachers become facilitator who guides students, encourage participation, and provide opportunities for students to discover knowledge themselves. This approach supports SDG 4 because quality education is not only about completing the syllabus but also about helping students develop knowledge, creativity, confidence, communication skills, and lifelong learning habits. There are many active learning strategies that teachers can use. So today I would like to introduce four common use strategies. The first strategy is think, pair, share. In this activity, the teachers first ask the question related to the lessons. Students are given a few minutes to think about their own answer individually. After that, they discuss their ideas with a partner. And finally, each pair share their discussion with the whole class. The simple activity encourages every student to think before speaking. It also helps shy students become more confident because they first discuss their ideas with one classmate before speaking in front of the whole classmate. And the second strategy is group discussion. Students work Students work together in a small groups to discuss a topic, solve a problem, or complete a task. Each student has an opportunity to contribute ideas and listen to different opinions. For an example, during English lessons, students can discuss a moral value found in a story. In a science lessons, students can work together to explain the causes of pollution. Through discussion, students learn how to communicate effectively, respect different viewpoints, and cooperate with others. And the third strategy is learning games. Learning does not always have to be serious. Educational games can make lesson more enjoyable while helping students understand a difficult concept. For an example, teachers can organize quizzes using online platforms such as Kahoot and Quizzes. Students answer questions while competing with their classmates in a fun and interactive way. So a teacher can also organize classroom games such as vocabulary race, matching activities, role playing, or educational board games. So, learning games increase students' motivation because they create a positive and exciting learning environment. Students often remember information better when they learn through enjoyable activity. And finally, the fourth strategy is problem-based learning, also known as a PBL. In this strategy, students are given a real-life problems and asked to find possible solution. For an example, students may ask how to reduce plastic waste in school or how to encourage more students to recycle. They work together to collect information, discuss different ideas, and present their solution. So these activities develops critical thinking, creativity, teamwork, and discussion making skills. These are important skills that students need not only in school but also in their future careers and daily life. Although these strategies are different, they all have one thing in common. They encourage students to become active participants rather than passive learners. So when students are actively involved in learning, they understand concepts more deeply, remember information for a longer time, and enjoy learning more. This is exactly what SDG 4 hopes to achieve, which is providing quality education that prepares learner with the knowledge and skills they need for the future. That's conclude my conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our first panelist for that clear explanation. From your explanation, we can see that active learning is not simply about making lesson more enjoyable. It is also about creating meaningful learning experience where students can actively think, communicate, collaborate, and solve problems. The strategy clearly supports the goals of SDG 4 by promoting quality and inclusive education. So, now I have one more question for you. Among the four strategies that you mentioned, such as think, pair, share, group discussion, learning games, and problem-based learning, which strategy that do you think is the most effective one to encourage students to participate actively in class?
So thank you for the interesting question. In my opinion, there is no single strategy that is the best because every classroom is a different. However, if I had to choose one, I would say learning games are one of the most effective strategies, especially for today's students. Many students enjoy learning through games because the activity are more fun, interactive, and less stressful. Instead of feeling afraid of making mistakes, students become more willing to answer questions and participate. For example, using Kahoot at the end of the lesson, also teacher to review important concept while students compete in a friendly and enjoyable environment. However, teachers should remember that learning games are only effective when they have clear learning objective. The purpose is not only to entertain students but also to help them understand the lesson better. Therefore, a teacher should choose active learning strategy based on the lesson objective, students' abilities, and the classroom situation. Thank you.
Thank you once again to our first panelists for sharing those valuable insights. Now that we have learned about different types of learning strategies, an important question remains. How do the strategies actually benefit students and improve the learning process? To answer this question, I would like to invite our second panelist to discuss the benefit of active learning for students and teachers. Please welcome panel 2.
Thank you, moderator. Good evening, everyone. After listening to panel 1 explanation about the different active learning strategy, I would like to continue by discussing the benefit of active learning for both students and teachers. Active learning is becoming increasingly important because education today is not only about gaining knowledge but also about developing important life skills. Through activity learning, students are encouraged to participate, think independently, communicate effectively, and work together with the others. The first benefit is increased student engagement. In many traditional classrooms, students spend most of their time listening to lectures. Some students may become bored, distracted, or even lose interest in the lesson. However, active learning changed the situation because students are constantly involved in meaningful activities. For example, during a group discussion or classroom game, students are required to share ideas, answer questions, and complete tasks together. This keeps them focused and interested throughout the lesson. When students are actively engaged, they become more motivated to learn because they feel that they are part of the learning process rather than just a passive listener. The second benefit is the development of critical thinking skill. Active learning encourages students to analyze information instead of simply memorizing facts. For example, in problem-based learning, students are given a real-life issue, such as reducing food waste in school, rather than receiving the answer directly from the teacher. Students need to discuss possible solutions, evaluate different ideas, and justify their decision. This process helps students become independent thinkers who can solve problems logically and creatively. The third benefit is better communication and collaboration skill. Many active learning activities require students to work in pairs or small groups. During these activities, students learn how to express their opinions clearly, listen respectfully to others, ask meaningful questions, and cooperate to achieve a common goal. These communication and teamwork skills are important because they prepare students for higher education, the workplace, and everyday life. The fourth benefit is greater confidence. Some students are shy and rarely participate during normal classroom lessons. However, active learning provides opportunity for every student to contribute. For example, activities such as think, pair, share allow students to discuss their ideas with one partner before sharing with the whole class. This makes students feel more comfortable and confident when expressing their opinions. Over time, students become more willing to participate actively in classroom discussion. Besides benefit student, active learning also benefit teachers. Teachers can observe student understanding immediately through discussion, presentation, quizzes, or classroom activities. If students misunderstand a concept, teachers can provide immediate feedback and adjust their teaching accordingly. This creates a more effective teaching and learning process because teachers are able to identify students' strengths and weaknesses early. Most importantly, active learning supports SDG 4, which is quality education. SDG 4 aims to ensure that all learners receive inclusive, equitable, and quality education. Active learning helps achieve this goal because every student has opportunity to participate regardless of their learning style or academically ability. Instead of focusing only on examination results, active learning develops creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and problem-solving skill. These are the skills needed for lifelong learning and future success. In conclusion, active learning benefits both student and teacher by creating a more engaging, meaningful, and effective learning environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, panel 2. You highlight many important benefits, especially how active learning develops student confidence, communication skill, and critical thinking. These qualities are essential in preparing students for the future challenge and clearly support the goals of SDG 4. I would like to ask you one question. Among all the benefits that you mentioned, which benefit do you think has the greatest impact on student future development and why?
Thank you for your question. In my opinion, the most valuable benefit is critical thinking. Today, students have easy access to information through the internet and social media. However, not all information is accurate or reliable. Therefore, students need critical thinking skill to evaluate information, identify problems, and make informed decisions. Students who can think critically are also more creative and independent. They are able to solve problems, adapt to new situations, and continue learning throughout their life. These qualities are exactly what quality education should develop. Therefore, I believe critical thinking is one of the greatest long-term benefits of active learning. Thank you.
Thank you, panel 2, for the thoughtful response. So far, we have learned what active learning is and why is it beneficial. The next important question is, how can teachers apply the strategy effectively in the real classroom situation? To answer this, I would like to invite our third panelist to share practical example of implementing active learning in teaching and learning. Please welcome panel 3.
Thank you, moderator. Good evening, everyone. After understanding the meaning and benefits of active learning, I would like to discuss how teachers can implement these strategies effectively in different learning environments. Active learning can be applied in almost every subject, regardless of whether the lesson is conducted face-to-face or online. The key is choosing activities that match the learning objective and students' needs. Let me begin with an example from an English lesson. Instead of asking students to memorize vocabulary, the teachers can organize a role-play activity. For example, students can act as a customer and shopkeepers in a supermarket. During the activity, students practicing speaking English naturally while improving their vocabulary, pronunciation, and communication skills. Because students learn through real-life situations, they are more likely to remember the language and use it confidently. Next, in a science lesson, teachers can use inquiry-based learning. For example, students can investigate why certain materials float while others sink. Instead of simply reading the answer from the textbook, students conduct simple experiments, record observation, discuss their findings, and present their conclusion. This process encourages curiosity, observation, and scientific thinking. In mathematics, teachers can present students with real-life problems. For instance, students may calculate the total cost for organizing a class event or prepare a simple budget for school activity. By solving authentic problems, students understand how mathematics is applied in everyday life instead of seeing it as a numbers or formulas only. Technology also plays an important role in supporting active learning. Teachers can use digital platforms such as Google Classroom, Padlet, Kahoot, Quizizz, or Mentimeter to create interactive lessons. Students can answer quizzes instantly, share ideas online, participate in polls, or collaborate on group projects, even when learning remotely. Technology makes learning more flexible and encourages greater student participation. However, successful implementation requires careful planning. Teachers should prepare clear instructions, organize activities according to students' abilities, monitor group discussion, and provide constructive feedback throughout the lesson. It is also important to create a classroom environment where students feel safe to express their opinions without fear of making mistakes. When students feel respected and supported, they become more willing to participate actively. This practical approach clearly supports SDG 4 as they provide inclusive, engaging, and student-centered learning experiences that help every learner reach their full potential. In conclusion, active learning is not limited to one subject or one teaching method. With throughout planning and creativity, teachers can successfully apply active learning in many different classroom situations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Panel 3. Your examples show that active learning can be applied across different subjects and learning environment. More importantly, they demonstrate that quality education is achieved when students actively explore, discuss, and apply their knowledge rather than simply memorizing information. Before we continue our panel finalists, I have one question for you. Among all the examples that you have shared today, which classroom activity do you think is the easiest for beginner teacher to implement, and what is the reason?
Thank you, moderator. In my opinion, the easiest active learning strategy for beginning teacher is think, pair, share. This activity is simple because it does not require expensive materials or complicated preparation. Teachers only need to prepare a meaningful question related to the lesson. For example, after teaching the topic, the teacher asks students to think about the answer individually for 1 minute. Then they discuss their ideas with a partner before sharing them with the class. Although this activity is simple, it encourages every student to participate. Students also become more confident because they have already discussed their idea before speaking in front of everyone. At the same time, teacher can quickly identify whether students understand the lesson or need further explanation. Therefore, think, pair, share is an activity that practical strategy that any teacher can use, especially those who are just beginning of their teaching career. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Panel 3. As we have heard, active learning offers many benefits and can be implemented in various ways. However, teachers may also face certain challenges when applying the strategies in the real classroom. To discuss this challenge and suggest practical solution, I would now like to invite our fourth and final panelists. Please welcome panel 4.
Thank you, moderator. Good evening, everyone. After learning the meaning, the benefits, and the im- implementation of active learning, I would like to discuss the challenges teachers may face and how these challenges can be overcome. Although active learning is highly effective, implementing it successfully is not always easy. The first challenge is large class size. In many schools, teachers have to teach classes with 35 to 40 people or even more. Managing discussion, monitoring every group, and ensuring that all students participate can be difficult. Some students can dominate the discussion, while quieter students may remain passive. To overcome this challenge, teachers can divide students into smaller groups and assign clear roles, such as group leaders, recorder, presenter, and timekeeper. This ensures that every student has a responsibility and an opportunity to contribute. The second challenge is limited teaching time. Teachers often need to complete the syllabus within a limited period. Because of this, some teachers believe that lectures are faster than active learning activities. However, active learning does not always require a long time. Teachers can start with simple activities such as think, pair, share, short quizzes, or 5-minute discussions. Even brief activities can increase students' participation without affecting lesson objectives. Third challenge is limited sources and technology. Not every student has sufficient computers, tablets, or internet access. This might make it difficult for to use online learning platforms. Fortunately, active learning does not always depend on technology. Teachers can use printed worksheets, flashcards, role-play, debates, classroom discussions, or problem-solving activities that require minimal resources. The fourth challenge is students who are shy or unwilling to participate. Some students are afraid of making mistakes or speaking in front of others. Teachers can create positive, supportive classroom environment by encouraging respect, praising students' effort, and reminding students that making mistakes is normal part of learning. Teachers should begin with pair work or small group discussions before asking students to speak in class. This helps students gradually build confidence. Another important challenge is teachers' readiness. Some teachers may not have enough experience using active learning strategy. As a result, they may continue using traditional teaching methods. To address these issues, schools should organize professional development programs, workshops, and training sessions to help teachers improve their teaching skills and learn new classroom strategies. When teachers continue learning, students also benefit from more engaging and effective lessons. Overall, although active learning presents several challenges, these challenges can be overcome through careful planning, creativity, collaboration, and continuous professional development. Doing so, teachers can provide meaningful learning experiences that support CDG4 quality in education, ensuring that every student has equal opportunities to participate, develop essential skills, and become lifelong learners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, panel 4. You have clearly explained that while active learning may present challenges, this obstacle can be overcome through proper planning, flexibility, and continuous improvement. This reminds us that quality education depends not only on the teaching method, but also on the teacher commitment to creating inclusive and engaging learning experience. Before we conclude today's discussion, I would like to ask one final question to all our panelists. To our panelists, in one sentence, what is the most important message you would like future teachers to remember about active learning?
For me, I believe every student learn differently. So teachers should create opportunity for every learner to participate actively and confidently.
For me, I agree that active learning helps students develop not only academic knowledge but also critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and lifelong learning skill.
In my opinion, effective teaching is not about how much teachers talk, but about how much students are actively involved in learning.
In my opinion, even small active learning activities can make a big difference in creating meaningful, inclusive, and quality education for all students.
Okay. Thank you to all our panelists for their valuable insight and thoughtful discussion. Today's forum has shown us that active learning is more than just learning strategies. It is a student-centered approach that encourages learners to think critically, communicate confidently, solve problems, collaborate with others, and apply the knowledge in the real-life situation. We have discussed various active learning strategies such as think, back, share, group discussion, learning games, and problem-based learning. We also explore the benefit, practical classroom application, and the challenge teacher may encounter together with possible solution. Most importantly, we have seen how active learning contributes directly to the Sustainable Development Goals for quality education. By encouraging participation, inclusive creativity, and lifelong learning, active learning helps create classroom where every student has the opportunity to success and reach their full potential. As future educator, we have an important responsibility. Our role is not only about to teach lesson, but also to inspire students, encourage curious, apa nih? Curiosity, and create learning environment where every learner feels valued and motivated. With that, we have come to the end of our forum discussion. On behalf of all the panelists, I would like to thank you, our respected lecturer, and everyone in the audience for your attention and support. We hope today's discussion has provided useful knowledge and inspired us to become better educators in the future. Thank you very much. Have a one. Thank you so much.